What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving, right? You see the thumbnail. 35% of Americans don't have retirement funds. And I thought about that, and I think that was done February or March of this year, I want to say. Looked it up. I started thinking to myself, well, what does that say moving forward? And I thought about it like, with the pandemic, the real estate market, you had people who were well off using their money to buy their children property, you know. But then you had people who, basically, in some aspects, started dwindling down a little bit. You have the homeowners who decided to, put the payments off for a year. You got the renters who wind up, some of those people didn't get paid for a year. And I started thinking about it like a lot of this stems from lack of preparation, right? And not to mention, you got the vast majority of Americans who are overweight and the rising cost of living. And I started thinking about it, and it dawned on me that 35% in 10 years is probably going to be somewhere between 50 and 60. People, less people are going to be getting married, less couples. So that's less two income households in this, like I said, rising economy or rising cost of living. And then you got the situation where single people are going to have a tough time just to afford being single. So how can they afford to, quote unquote, put money back into retirement? Are they thinking about it? And then, if I'm not mistaken, Social Security is on its last leg. So because this country's so far in debt and people have been robbing the lock boxes for years, if I'm not mistaken. And we have this shopping addiction. And the more and more, plus automation, which probably in the next 5 to 10 years is really going to get rid of jobs because people saw what they can do because of the pandemic. Because think about it, you can have a lot more people working from home. You have a lot more industries realizing, working with skeleton crews and realizing that they probably could maximize their production with a skeleton crew because they figured that out during the pandemic. So it gives people an excuse. Thus, less people. Now, I take into consideration that, the majority of the white population is over 55. So, like I said, the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, America's demographic is going to change drastically because of all the death. But what's left? You get what I'm saying? Like, what good is inheriting the household if you're financially illiterate, or if you haven't prepared for your own retirement or your own kids' retirement? And I didn't even add on how the cost of education has gone through the roof. So people are stuck with student loan debt, which is now tied to your mortgage payments. If you're able to have the down payment, which most people don't, for a home in the first place. And you got a lot of late bloomers, a lot of people who are starting to settle down in their 30s and 40s, And nobody asks the question, if people are late bloomers and starting to settle down in their 30s and 40s, are they starting to settle down without debt? Did they go back home to get rid of the debt? Or when they leave these homes, do they still have the debts? And I would assume that they still have the debts, unfortunately. This ain't good, man. You know, the wars, we might have, this country may have won wars with guns, but we've definitely lost the financial war, which there's going to be a lot of suffering in the future. A lot of suffering. Because that means 35% of people, you know, close to, you know, if you round it up like in school, you know, you round up to 4 out of 10 people, 2 out of 5. And when I brought up the obesity thing, we're not even talking about the people who, you know, who might wind up losing their money due to health issues. So they might have retirement, but because they didn't take care of themselves, they might wind up having to lose it to keep themselves alive, man. To keep themselves alive before I cut myself off. This ain't good, man. I'm just saying. Like, share, subscribe, or die. Try and catch y'all on the next one. Peace.